So your story, well, your story is part of the world's story. But more than that, it's part of his story. And his story is a different story to everything else. Of course, there is world history, and that probably started around about Genesis 12. And there's all the stuff about Egypt and Assyria and Babylon and Persia, and it just goes on and on. Greece, and then Rome, and then the Spanish Empire. There is all of that is world history, and a lot of the time Israel finds itself in the centre of all that. And we see that a lot of world history centres around Israel, whether we like that or we don't like it, doesn't really matter. It just is a fact. But his story is really all about him. And of course, what we've seen already is that Jesus, with the two disciples on Emmaus Road, he wanted them to share their story first, and they did share it. And then he came and shared his story, reframed all of their story in his story. And in the end, when actually what I want is that you would see me, that you would know me, and that you would find yourself in me. And as you find yourself in me, you can live out of me and make a change in the world. So we know this, that we are in him whilst being in the world. We're in him. We know this, that knowledge is going to increase, but you can't change anything only by knowing about it. You can see how the seasons changes. You can see that. You can talk about the season changing. But knowing, talking and informing does not change the season. Every time you make a decision, you affect the season. Every time you sow something beautiful, something different, you can change the coming season. That's what you can do. That's what farmers do all the time. I mean, just look around you. It's not difficult, this stuff, is it, really? So, there's a greater story than the world's story. There's his story, in which everything has its origins, its centre, its focus, its being. So whilst Abraham is the father of my faith, my being and origins go back beyond Abraham. And you remember this in John 8 and verse 58. This is what Jesus said. He said, "Most assuredly, I say to you, before Abraham was, I am." Then they took up stones to throw at him, but Jesus hid himself and went out of the temple. So again, he just declared who he really was. But he said this was the important thing. He said, before Abraham, before anyone else ever got here, I am. And you are part of I am. You're part of something that is even greater than world history. You're part of his story. So, although we have those who appear to know the next signs and everything that is about to happen on the earth according to Scripture, our desire is that we're going to live above and beyond that. Above and beyond the history of the world, if you can put it that way. We're living in him and we're living out of him. And in him are all things. My desire is to know him, to be found in him, and to be moving in him, no matter what the situation is on the earth. The best that anyone will ever know is it could be that time. That's the best they'll ever know. But the only thing that you and I need to know is what to do next. Isn't it? Now, I want to be like him in terms of my behaviour, my responses, my reactions, my attitudes and my motivations. That's my desire. Let's face it, if you could know everything there is to know about the end times, but if you're not transformed and you don't know the love that casts out all fear, then you're in trouble. So we must go beyond an ever-increasing revelation. Being full of the Spirit, yes, that's good. And we need to keep being full of the Spirit. But the truth is, the Holy Spirit lives in us. He's here. He's not going anywhere. He's going to stay here. This is his abode. I'm his temple. You're his temple. This is where he loves to dwell. He never is going to live in a temple again. Listen to me again. He's never going to live in a temple again other than this temple and your temple. And together we're going to become a beautiful temple that actually houses him in some wonderful, beautiful way. But there is no earthly temple anywhere, not anywhere in the earth that'll ever house the Spirit of Jesus again. So, a moving temple, being with people, sharing life with them. We need to practice the presence of Jesus. We need to become conscious of him being with us every moment of the day, don't we? This is a moment right now. We can begin to be conscious. I wondered earlier, we do everything that we can for the church. Me, Adam, Matt, Anne, we're doing everything that we can to keep communication going. And I missed a lot of people out as well just then. But, you know, there's people around that are doing everything that you can to encourage and bless. And we believe the church is moving in that same heart and spirit as well. So well done for that. But part of me just thought, you know what, we put things out. We put things on YouTube. And we see that sometimes there's 20 people that watched. Well, that's beautiful. 20 people's beautiful. But I wonder, what is it we're doing with our time? What is it that we're doing every day? And this is not me condemning anyone. This is me just asking a question. Because I wonder about it in these times that we live. What is actually going on in our hearts and lives? Where are we in this journey? Where are we in this life with Jesus right now? What's going on? Are we ready to walk into the future with him? Look, everything can change. You can make a difference. You can encourage others to make a difference. We're all learning, we're all moving towards someone and something greater. Now, as I said before, the future, Elijah saw the cloud and ran into the future. Jesus got into the boat and was immediately the other side. That's pretty quick future, isn't it? He got into the boat, immediately the other side. Prophetic voices are not about telling us what's happening now, but about telling us what's going to happen. Elijah went to Jezreel, God's sows. He girded up his loins and he ran ahead of Ahab to the entrance of Jezreel. Of course, there were some words that he was about to speak that would deal with the disturbances and the destruction that was caused by inadequate and ineffective leadership on every level. That was going to be dealt with. But he was sowing into the future. He was running into the future. He was girding up his loins. The mind, you know, we have loins in our mind. We've got to gird those up and we've got to run into the future. To sow. And perhaps what we're going through, perhaps all of this is helping us to make a transition into something that is going to be quite new. Now, of course, everything has always been, it's either a help or it's a hindrance. It's either something we can use to the good or we can use it for things that are not good. Everything has always been like that. And it continues to be like that. What's different is that what is happening is it's coming much quicker. Everything is coming much quicker. And I believe that we've alluded to it in these last months that actually, you know, if you think about the future, what's going to happen? Well, we know that technologically things are advancing at a mega pace. I mean, before you know it, I believe before the end of this year, we're going to have this thing called 5G that's going to revolutionise everything in a way that is probably beyond what happened when we first got the computer. Something's going to happen that is going to be absolutely huge. Not only that, we've got talk of artificial intelligence, robotic things. Well, it's already happening. Some people are having the meals delivered by robots. Can you believe that? Some companies are now nearly all robotic. There's going to be electric cars, hydrogen cars. Transportation's going to be affected. There's going to be new possibilities of health, of wellness, of wholeness. All sorts of cutting-edge technologies are coming, and they are coming fast. And actually what is just happening now is causing that to be even faster, I believe. It's happening at exponential speed. But these are all new moments and new possibilities. It's not all bad by any means. This can be something that is wonderful. So unwittingly, perhaps all that's going on is getting us ready for something of the future. It will be different. But did you notice the ability to handle crisis? It's getting quicker. We're learning some things that we didn't know before. And sadly, that's what happens, when a plane crashes. Well, it's another moment to learn something to make it safer for those that are in the next plane that takes off. And sadly, this is what we go through in order to get to these places. Hundreds and thousands of people mobilising to help and to love. Have we seen that? 750,000 people mobilising to volunteer in acts of kindness. Beautiful. And acts of kindness are taking place everywhere. Love, appreciation, kindness, simplicity of life. Gratefulness for life. The joy of living. The joy of being. The joy of being together. Can you imagine what it's going to be like when we're together again? I mean, part of me nearly weeps only thinking of being together again. The joy of giving. There's many things that are happening on an exponential, increased movement. It's happening very, very fast. And are the cautions to sound? Well, of course, there's many of those to sound as well. Privacy, for instance. Of course, this may lead to a greater surveillance upon us. But, and just think about this privacy. My privacy is always my privacy until I allow you to come into it. If I allow you to be part of my life, and in parts of my life that I wouldn't normally allow, that's me allowing you. It's my choice to allow you into my privacy. Now, of course, lots of people go, well, if you've nothing to hide, then you can be open. Listen, that's not the point. Don't miss the point. The point is this, that you have been given choice. And your choice, God respects your choice. God does not take away your choice. He respects it no matter what you choose. But actually, if someone comes along and says you no longer have privacy because now your life is going to be under surveillance all the time, well, that's not God. So there's some things that we have to be careful about. Some things we have to think about. Freedom of movement. Well, already we begin to see that maybe there's going to be trackers. There's already, even in this, that this is an iPhone 10 maybe, that's filming me right now. Well, there's trackers in this. Adam is tracked everywhere that he goes. And that's the reality of it. But that may get even more. It may increase even more, whatever that means. So freedom of movement, freedom of choice. I don't think that I've ever seen as many millions of people have such complicity or doing something that's been ordered by, in the end, just a few people. I have never seen that before. Now, that may very well be a necessity at this time, but I've never seen it quite like this. So again, there's some cautions to sound. We know as well that by 2030, cash will, this is what they said before this crisis, that cash will disappear. Well, it may well disappear before 2030. We know that many people have lost, tens of millions of people probably will end up having lost their jobs. Well, again, artificial intelligence, robots, all automated workings are coming into place. All these things are happening around us. This is not just a small thing that's happening, it's a big thing that's happening, and we have to be cautious. Gene editing, for instance. Now that's a whole new frontier that is coming to us very, very quickly. And everything that you were seeing that is happening right now as they look for a vaccine, as they do all these things, all of this has some kind of movement towards something more. Gene editing can be an incredible thing. It can also be a very dangerous thing. Vaccines. Well, vaccines are very interesting. We've had vaccines for a long, long time, and of course people are vaccinated from the flu, but every year thousands of people die from the flu. A vaccine is not something that, will mean that you have an immune system. God has given you an immune system. And of course that means that we have to begin to think about what we're eating, our physical well-being. We have this time now to think about all of these things. So I think we're in a very incredible moment right now. And my encouragement to everybody who is watching this is that Jesus has done everything. Jesus wants you to know him. There is no person who has lived, who is living, or will live, who has ever been like Jesus. Jesus is the image of God. If you want to know who God is, what God looks like, then look at Jesus. Keep looking at Jesus. Keep looking towards him. Jesus wants you to look at him, to know him, and to live in him. Partake of him. That's what we need to do at this time. There are many voices. There's much to hear. There's many things to read. But listen, most of all, you keep looking at Jesus and watching him. How he talked, how he walked, how he lived, how he died, how he is now is incredible. That is where we are going. He is our beautiful future. We find ourselves in him. We can make a difference. You can make a difference. Pain, paranoia, fear, terror is what causes chaos. But I want to tell you, we've got enough of everything. God has given us enough of everything. He's not left us. He's with us. He's going to be with us forever. And how we act, how we respond, how we believe, how we behave, how we walk, how we talk is really, really important right now. You can make a huge difference. Keep looking to him, keep loving him, and keep desiring to be like him. We are going into a beautiful future no matter what. God bless you. God love you. Keep smiling. Keep praying. add faith, and let that joy release.